Look out, because a family of possible satanic worshipping cultists may have moved onto the block, and it's up to a gang of bored dads to investigate. It's Neighborhood Watch gone bananas, and it's up to Tom Hanks to get to the bottom of it all in The Burbs. Hello there, you loose innocents, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Rewind Reviews, where we go back and look at a cult classic through fresh eyes. And here we have a quirky little comedy here called The Burbs, released in 1989, directed by Joe Dante. That's right, that Joe Dante. We open the film on getting introduced to the misfit characters that seem to live in this neighbourhood. We have a patriotic Vietnam vet kook here, played by Bruce Dern, who's pretty much playing Bruce Dern. A schlubby conspiracy theorist here who seems to be the antagonist for most of the mishaps in this film, played here by Cindy's dad from Scary Movie. And of course, too cool for school 80s bro, Corey Feldman. Trading in chasing vampires, Mogwais, Jason Voorhees, and searching for pirate treasure to get involved with hunting down possible satanic worshippers. And of course, our leading man is go-to 80s everyman here, played by Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is having 1 week off work here, a little mini vacation if you will, and just wants to sit around the house and enjoy relaxation, much to the dismay of his wife Princess Leia. She suspects he's going to drive himself insane with boredom and get into mischief here. And wouldn't you know it, some creepy family of 3 decide to move into the Elm Street house next door. The creepy family of 3 members here are Ranger version of Jay from Red Leather Media, head Nazi from Blues Brothers, and one of the Golden Girls. They act all kinds of suspicious, like late-night grave digging in their backyard, suspiciously disposing of human-sized garbage bags late in the evening, and draining all the power from the block here by firing up some monstrous electric contraption in their basement. It's not long before Tom Hanks and the gang here suspect that nothing is hunky-dory. And one of their neighbours here, queer Vincent Price, happens to vanish without a trace, under very suspicious circumstances. Then it's time for the trio of Hanks, Dern and Ducamont to do a bit of investigation. We then get an hour and a half of mishaps, some slapstick humour here and there, and a trunkload of subtle humour. It's a cute little underrated quirky comedy here that is a harken to another era of filmmaking here, sort of reminding me of movies like The House Sitter and The Money Pit. It's both a mystery and a comedy, and I don't think it gets enough love. There's some great continuity here too that also adds to the humour in the movie and the comedy. Like, there's little subtle hints here and there, like if something gets broken or something gets thrown in the street or things just generally get fucked up, it stays that way through the entire remainder of the film. And when characters walk past it or step over certain things, it just reminds you of the mishaps previously. And yeah, it all adds to the comedy. Continuity? Some filmmakers should be taking notes. Of course, it all ramps up to a massive climax in the whole neighbourhood here with some sick in-camera effects pyro. No CGI characters in sight. And of course, we get the common trope here in this time period of Tom Hanks films, where by the end of the film he looks like hammered shit and goes on an absolute rant here, losing his marbles with a huge monologue. I've forgotten how good at physical comedy Tom Hanks was. Back then, he was the go-to 80s everyman, especially for comedies, much in the same way that Michael Keaton was. Joe Dante, of course, couldn't help himself by putting little subtle tip of the caps here and Easter eggs for his previously big blockbuster Gremlins. If you're paying close attention, there's a cereal box in Tom Hanks' kitchen that is Gremlins. And of course, Dick Miller gets a cameo here, playing a disgruntled garbage man. And of course, Corey Feldman's in it. This film came out in 1989, and in my humble opinion, the best year for movies. Like, people back then were spoilt for choice with releases. A shit ton of classics came out that year, films like Uncle Buck, Dead Poets Society, Major League, Roadhouse, Field of Dreams, When Harry Met Sally, Parenthood, Look Who's Talking, Weekend at Bernie's, James Bond License to Kill, Lethal Weapon 2, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Heathers, Pet Sematary, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Ghostbusters 2, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, The Karate Kid Part 3, The Abyss, Back to the Future 2, and of course the absolute juggernaut of that year, Batman. And that's not even half the awesome recognisable movies that we know today released in that year. But in mentioning all those blockbusters and all those hits and cult classics here, this film still made a profit. The budget for this film was just a little bit over $11 million here, and the entire gross of the film was a little over $49 million. So, nothing to sneeze at. However, the critical reviews of this time weren't great or glowing. They range from mediocre to bad. All of them kind of loosely stating the same thing, that the film tries two genres but doesn't really commit or nail either one. And I kind of understand and somewhat agree with that criticism. Plus, Joe Dante was coming off Gremlins the Juggernaut and another hit, Inner Space. So I think there was a lot of high hopes to see what he was going to do next. But I still enjoy this movie. I think it's very underrated. It's a time capsule of the sort of films that studios used to make. You know, like they took chances on quirky little comedies. I mean, in this day and age, do you think we're ever going to get Nothing But Trouble or Splash nowadays? Fuck no! Like I said, the movie has subtle humour and it's all sold with the characters here. They're great. Although a little nitpick for me is it's just shy of being a Halloween film. It does have very, very minuscule horror elements in this, but if they really ramped up the PG 80s cheesy horror there, I think it would be a Halloween classic. It's just a bee's dick and just misses out on the mark. Although, that aside, I still do enjoy the film. But yeah, guys, that's my review of The Burbs here. One of a little favourite of mine from way back when. Write down you're a fan of it, what did you think of it, and what's another Joe Dante favourite of yours? And if, of course, you've made it this far into the episode, please give me a thumbs up because your love and support keeps me going, because I just love movies, and I assume you do as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon, because we give out episodes weekly. And we'll see you back here next week for the next review, and until then, stay spooky, kids.